Hey, moviegoers, Demetri here and bringing you another episode of KDM. If you don't know already, the K stands for my good colleague and very good close friend, Kit Bowen. Hey, Kit, how are
Hi.
you?
And the D is for Dimitri, and my very close friend sitting right there. Say
Thank
hi,
you.
D.
Uh, hey, Heidi. Heidi ho.
Heidi
And
ho.
today we have like I said, another episode. Another episode that will deliver you some good bounty. Of course, I'm not talking paper towels. I am talking about the famous Mandalorian and then his little sidekick, Grogu, the movie adaptation that is based off of the popular, probably one of the best Disney Plus Star Wars streaming shows called The Mandalorian. Now he makes his way with a little macaroon eating Grogu, or Baby Yoda, as some people like to call
Until
him,
we knew his
on
name. Until
the
we knew his
big screen
name, he was called
until
Baby
we knew
Yoda.
his name.
Yeah.
Yes. But some people still call him Baby Yoda. But now they're on the big screen at a theater near you. The first, I guess, Star Wars story in about 7 years. Can you believe it? We're going to get into the movie. We're going to give you the opinions, but then something else that I know Kit is aware of, both Kit and I are aware of, that's affecting our industry, the movie going industry and the movie reviewer industry. We're going to talk a little bit, because we have to, about this, a little bit about manufactured hate and manufactured praise. So, of which the Mandalorian Grogu has unfortunately been a victim of both. But before we get into that, let's get into this movie. Kit, what
Yes.
did you think of? This is a movie that we were both looking forward to this summer to help kick off the summer. What did you
hmm
think of The
I had
Mandalorian
I
of
had a great
Grogu?
time. I had a great time. I think, I liked the series on Disney Plus, so I felt, it was sort of a more, epic, but sort of a continuation of that of an episode from the show. Obviously everything's been heightened a little bit, including the action. The action was great, lots and lots and lots of action, which is what we like. The creatures I thought were really cool in this one, all the different alien creatures. There were some really scary looking ones. So I liked all of that. And again, Grogu and Mando, played by Pedro Pascal. They're very cute together. Pedro, however he works with the puppet, he makes it seem very realistic and whatnot. And this iteration, we get to go back to the Hutt world, the Jabba Hutt's world,
No.
and meet the gross things that they are. And the story revolves around them rescuing Jabba's long lost estranged son, Roto. What's his name? Roto. Is that his name?
I believe it's Roto.
Yeah,
Yes.
Roto.
Who
Played
actually go ahead.
Rhoda.
Rhoda.
Played by Jeremy Allen White, which she wouldn't even know if she didn't see the credits because he's a hut. He's a worm thing.
Yeah,
Um,
but his voice was
yeah.
familiar.
Oh, Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, it still took had to see his name in the credits to go, oh, that's it's like, why
Yeah.
does
No,
he
I
sound
knew
so
I knew
familiar?
going in. I knew going in,
Oh, you
but
did?
oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. But the mission is basically at this point Mando and Grogu are hunting down rogue uh Empire warlords basically who are still trying to put together the Empire again. So they've been scattered, kind of like Nazi hunt, I suppose you can think of it like that. They've been scattered all over, and so their mission is to go out and try to get them, and preferably alive. Well, but that doesn't always necessarily happen. But that's kind of what Mando's mission is right now. He's still for hire, so it's not like he's joined the rebel forces, but he's for hire. Scorner Weaver is the one who hires him. And
On the
so it's
rebel
kind of
side.
on the rebel side, yes. So it's them kind of working within that parameters. And so it's just a quest to rescue Rhoda and then, catch one of the bad warlord guys. But also mainly the Hutts are the ones who are the villains in this case because Job is long gone, but I guess he has an aunt and uncle or something, Rhoda does, who wants
Right.
to get rid of Rhoda because he's can usurp their power, usurp their top of the line kind of thing. Anyway, all of that was fine, I felt like it was not a whole lot of substance to this film. There wasn't a whole lot of high stakes as in past Star Wars movies, I mean, generally we're fighting against the Empire and they're about ready to blow up the world basically and it's a war kind of thing. So this one's a little less like that, but still engaging
Right.
all the same. And like I said, there were some great funny moments. And lot like all the action being on the Hut world was cool. Jon Favreau, who directed, definitely has a hold on this franchise and knows what works. Now I know there's been some like I have my boss actually who loves Star Wars movies, but he hates the sort of kiddie aspects to them sometimes, with the Ewoks and then now Grogu and all the little characters that you kind of fall in love with, and he calls that kind of kiddie stuff. I like it, but I can understand how, maybe he wants a little more serious Star
Though
Wars. I don't know.
I want to know how old he was when he first saw Star Wars, because I
Yeah,
know how old I was, and guess what? I was a kid
yeah,
when I saw it. I was
yeah.
11 years old, so Star Wars was totally made
And
for an
we had
11-year-old, right?
and we had those we had the little guys with the hoods and the eyes who, sold the droids. So we always had like these little tiny
The
creatures, and then you had
Jawas and
Jawas, that's it. And then you got the
yeah.
bar scene and all that from Star Wars. Anyway, it's kind of part of what this thing is. I know I watched actually a little part of that one series that had Jude Law in it, and it was like these kids kind of,
Uh,
who have to kind of get back home, they
yeah,
get jettisoned out. I didn't really
Skeleton
love
Crew.
that. There you go. Thank you. I didn't really love that so much because I did feel it was more like Goonies, which, I know, not I'm in the
What, you don't like
minority, I know.
Goonies?
No, I
Yeah, you
don't.
are in the minority.
No. Anyway, so yes, with this, had a lot of fun. I was definitely engaged. I thought everything, looked amazing. So, I didn't see, except for it not just being a high stakes or any sort of real substance to it, which is fine. It was a very popcorny movie. So yeah, it was good for me.
Great, great word. It was a very popcorny movie,
Yeah,
popcorn and Coke. I too enjoyed this very much. I had a very good time. And I enjoyed aspects of this movie that I really enjoyed is that they didn't really there weren't like cameos that needed to
right.
uh, bolster this movie. The series, the streaming series, Luke Skywalker shows up. Ahsoka, I believe, shows up. But this one had, to me, a really great, and he was more than just a cameo. It had a great character that comes from another streaming show that was Star Wars Rebels, and
Mm.
it had Zeb as I guess the Mandalorian's co-pilot. I love that
Oh, is that who
character.
that was?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Zeb. Yeah, I love that character. I also loved Rebels. I think Rebels is a great Star Wars streaming show. It's animated,
Right.
and it follows Clone Wars. I believe in Clone Wars, Rhoda has an appearance in the later series, in the later seasons of Clone Wars. I could be wrong. Somebody who is more keyed into Star Wars lore, please, if I am wrong, correct me. If I'm right, please further add the layer of like what season, episode he was involved in, but he needed some savor, something. But I believe Rhoda was mentioned before. I liked how Rhoda was in this,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed. Uh,
I liked going back. I
how
mean, talking
Rhoda,
about nostalgia, I think the
yeah,
nostalgia part of this was the huts, kind of getting back
absolutely,
to that. Yeah. And seeing a little bit more of
absolutely,
their world too, because we never really got a chance.
absolutely, and I really appreciated that as well. And I appreciated how, Rhoda, unlike his father, like really was a guy. He was like he was imprisoned in this cage match world, and he was forced to fight. And if he was an indentured servant, basically, if he
Right.
did so many fights and won, he was going to be allowed his freedom. But he really went out of his way. Well, they wrote the character like to be a good guy or
Yeah.
a good Jabba,
A good
or
hut.
a good hut, and I appreciated that very much because he in fact was. And Mandalorian can see like he was actually sent to like kill Rhoda because they believed, or the rebellion believed that the two huts had information on the Empire, and they needed to find Jabba's son, the deceased
Right.
Jabba's son,
Right.
and if they brought him back and whatever. So it was like a series of adventures. It's a series of, in a way, it's kind of like old school script writing, where it's like you have one conflict, then you make it as that conflict's being resolved, other conflicts come in to keep the heroes busy,
Right.
and this is their journey. I
Yeah.
also liked how this movie gave Grogu, a little bit more than just being cute. They gave him an adventure.
Yeah.
He had to save his buddy. He had to save his father figure, which is the
Right.
Mandalorian. I appreciated that, and
Yeah. That was a
I
cute
appreciated
sequence. Him trying to
it was
save him and
very
stuff.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was his own adventure. So a crux of the movie focuses on just Grogu, which I appreciated. I also liked how we see on the big screen the relationship has evolved for
Hmm.
Mandalorian and Grogu. Grogu now has his own has his own armor. Never go out without your armor. And it had that Rambo moment in a
Yeah.
sense, right? When he's putting his stuff on. And I think, Favreau is now entrenched in Star Wars, and, which is a cool thing for
Yeah.
him, I'm sure. And it's good for us. Look, the action in the movie, the adventure in this movie, I thought was very good. It's very fun, and it's the perfect movie to kick off summer, which
Yeah.
is,
Even though they said Devil Wears Prada 2 is really what kicked summer off, but okay.
yeah, but I just think that for the commercial summer going movie adventure, popcorn movie. Like
Yeah.
this works. This works. And I had as good a time, I think, as you did. And the adventures were good. The action was very good. I also enjoyed seeing Sigourney Weaver.
Hmm.
I thought she was very good. I loved seeing her piloting an
Yeah.
X-wing.
Yeah.
I thought that
That
was
was great.
awesome. And her coming out of the X-Wing in the orange X-Wing pilot suit, I think is really cool. And yeah, I'm watching the movie and I'm having a good time. And that's what a movie like this should deliver to you is
Yep.
a good time. If you keep on comparing these movies to say the original Star Wars, perhaps even the original Star Wars trilogy, you're always going to be disappointed. Like
Yeah.
you have to move forward and you can still love and enjoy Star Wars, but let's place the movie where it is within the universe. Like this isn't Star Wars. This is meant to be within the world of Star Wars, which you should be somewhat versed about
Yeah, I
by this
guess okay,
point.
so you want to talk about
Yeah,
how
so
people are
there's
saying basically Star Wars movies are dead now because they just can't get it right.
yeah, because the kid, yeah, and here's the thing. People hated Kathleen Kennedy, which good God, when you look at that woman's career and who
Yeah.
she's been involved with and what she's accomplished, you hate
Yeah.
her? Give me a
Yeah.
break. She's
Right.
wonderful. She's fantastic, right?
Right.
Now Dave Filoni is taking over the reins for Lucasfilms and particularly Star Wars. People were first cheering, "Yay, Dave
Yeah.
Filoni! Yeah, Dave, I'll call you Dave. You're in for the same crap that Kathleen Kennedy took, okay?
Yep.
Because it's already happening for you. But there's something that you and I, Kit, have noticed, and I talked about it at the very beginning. It's manufactured praise and manufactured hate. I want to start off with the praise. Manufactured praise, what is it? Well, to me, how I define manufactured praise, and this is all because of this change in the industry, and I think the studios are to blame for this, is influencers. Influencers. Kit, you and I have been talking about and reviewing movies. We have a good knowledge database within our heads. We know how to talk to people. We know how to write sentences.
Yeah.
And we know how to give an educated opinion on things. And this is one of the things I love about this show and doing it with you, Kit, is that we don't always agree. That's the
Mhm.
nature of the business, and that's the nature of being a human being. What I do love about talking movies with you, Kit, is that you bring a perspective that I respect and appreciate, regardless of whether or not we agree or and if we disagree.
Yeah.
And in times, you make me think of something that maybe I didn't like, but I'll rethink it after
Me
having a
too. Of
conversation with
course.
you,
Of course. It
right? So
always
that's
happens like
that's
that. Yeah.
influencers, on the other hand, are they just overpraise everything. It's the best. It's great. Oh my God. I went to this movie. I cried. It brought back the kid in me. The kid in you. You're like that was like last week. You were a kid. So and recently Disney was caught. They released a photo. It was all over the place before the movie came out that Pedro Pascal, Sigourney Weaver, Dave Filoni were at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, and they were there obviously to promote the movie, and they saw some new Grogu animation imagery at night. But then, and influencers were invited to this. Okay, and mind you, influencers are paid by studio for this. I don't know about you, Kit, but I know that you've traveled, and the studio. Correct me if I'm wrong. The studio may have paid for your travel to interview people, but they didn't pay for your. Oh my God! Like, because I've never seen you like that. And I've watched
Well,
your older
I mean,
interviews
back in the day, generally,
back in the day.
if you worked for an online publication or whatever, and you were invited to go do the junket, generally someone else would do the review of the film. That doesn't necessarily
Gotcha.
always happen, but
Right.
generally that was the case. Like if I went to the junket, somebody else wrote the review on our staff.
Right.
But sometimes I still would write the review. I mean, look, I'm a lot more lenient on film sometimes than you are, but if I really hated a movie, I still would have to fake it. What if I did the interviews? I'm not going to sit there and embarrass the talent by
Well,
saying anything negative. I mean,
no,
I
and I
wouldn't
don't think.
necessarily say anything. I would just talk to them, about about the project, about whatever, about something maybe I did like. Because, I always end up finding a little something that I might like. Like, for an example, just quickly,
Yeah. Please.
I interviewed Mickey Rourke, who was just a nutcase. I interviewed him for The Immortals, which was not a good movie. No, 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 no. But there was parts to it that was okay, there was some good action. I kind of like, Greek gods and all that kind of stuff. But he was the villain in that. And I could tell he didn't like the movie either. I mean, you could tell, and he was just not wanting to talk about it at all. So what I ended up talking to him about is that in the film, his character was eating all the time. Like every time he was on screen, he was eating something, and he kind of incorporated that into his villainous. And so we talked about that, and he actually liked that. So we talked about that, and we, kind of explored how he was able to, use that as part of his character. And then we moved on to something else because he didn't want to talk about the movie anymore. But you see what I'm saying? It's always
I
been a kind
do.
of a gray area as far as if you do the junket and they send you and they pay for you and they do all this stuff, and then you sit there and rave about the movie. There is some sus to that, but sometimes you did like the movie, so you're okay on it. So
But
it's a weird deal. I get it.
but you know what, Kit, though? You know what, though, Kit? You know what that makes you? It makes you professional, right?
Yeah.
And it's a thing that through the years, like, people were afraid to give negative reviews because they'd be taken off lists or they wouldn't be allowed junkets. And the thing is that I have to, I love many of the publicists out there, but they have to realize too that, not just because you don't like a movie, you and or I or any other critic does not like a movie doesn't mean that we're not capable of interviewing an actor for said movie,
Yeah.
right? And you're right. We're not going to go to that actor. You were in a sucky movie.
Yeah, this movie
Why?
sucked. Don't you
You're
think
not
it
going to do
sucked?
that, right?
Well,
Yeah,
it's stupid.
you
But
know,
some people do.
like, and
Some
and
people
you know,
do.
the,
I don't know
and
why,
to me,
but
that's
and then they don't get
unprofessional.
asked back.
They don't get asked back,
You
and
do.
sometimes they do.
You have to run that fine line. You really do. And if you
Right?
talk to anybody who's
It's
been doing this for a long time, they'll tell you the same thing. You just kind of have to play the
right.
game a little bit.
Yeah, you play the game a little bit, but I think what happened is to mitigate any of that, influencers come along, and look, I don't want to throw a broad net and say it's every influencer, but a lot of them, they have no film history. They're there because they love Star Wars or they love Marvel or whatever the fandom is. And I think in part, this is a completely other subject that maybe at some point we should address is toxic fandom. But
Yes.
when you overpraise, so what happened with Disney and how they got caught red-handed was there was a picture that circulated. I'm sure you've seen it, but you can find it online.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a picture that circulated where these influencers, they were being passed off, mind you, they were being passed off as regular people, Disneyland guests who were
Mm,
at Galaxy's Edge, and they were walking onto Smuggler's Run. If you don't know what Smuggler's Run is, it is a ride that takes place on board the Millennium Falcon. So for
right.
all you Star Wars fans, it's a dream come true because you actually get to walk onto the Millennium Falcon. And these regular guests, they had a surprise visit from like the Mandalorian, and full costume, the helmet, the all of his equipment, and he's walking on board the ship, and then he takes off his helmet to reveal it's Pedro Pascal. And oh my God, there was a picture snapped, and all of them were like, oh, in such shock and awe. The thing is that it was found out that they were not regular people. They were not ticket buying people. This was not like Johnny Depp on Pirates of the Caribbean ride. They were influencers. And the picture is quite embarrassing. Like, I thought it looks like it comes from a college brochure almost. I know a little bit of something about that because I was in the BU college brochure, believe it or not. But it was a lot of people jumped on it. It was fake. It looked fake. If you look at their reactions, and there are some people like, I don't even know what they're looking at. And Pedro Pascal, in all honesty, God bless him for doing it, gets paid for it, but he just looked like he wanted to be like anywhere else. He
Right.
wanted to be with Sigourney, John Favreau, Dave Filoni,
Yeah.
eating having a nice dinner. Okay, so that's manufactured praise right there. And they got caught. They got caught red-handed doing this. A lot of people called them out for it. But then on the flip side, you've got manufactured hatred, which is also this movie's been a victim to. And you and I have talked about this. Star Trek has a lot of manufactured hatred. And what is manufactured hatred? Well, it's when people get paid to hate something, or they just hate for hate's sake, and they get a lot of clicks when they post all of their hatred online about a movie and or a television series. It happened with the boys as well. But I have seen ads for journalists. Hey, would you like to write for us? Hey, if you hate Starfleet Academy, you can get a job with us. And I'm like, wow, that's manufactured hate. And that also leads to toxic fandom. And this movie got a lot of that. A lot of people were hating on this movie before it had come out, when it had come out, and a lot of these people hadn't even watched the movie. A lot of this happened with Solo, a Star Wars story,
which
which
wasn't that good, to be honest with you. This was
well,
much better than Solo.
I actually think it's one of their best. But this one got such hate, and it's like, well, your guy, Dave Filoni, was the big, like, this is his show. This is his thing. You praised him for taking over for Kathleen Kennedy, whom you hated, but now you're leveling hate on this movie. I don't understand why. Well, probably because you didn't see it. And like Solo, a Star Wars story, it's going to find a life. Like more people have like actually watched Solo, a Star Wars story, and go, oh, it wasn't as bad as I heard it
Yeah,
was.
because if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, which I know can be also assessed sometimes, but you can see that the audience score is really high. So people are walking out of the
Very
film
high,
liking it. Yeah, there's
liking
nothing
it,
really not to
and
like. Look, the script, like I
I
said,
honestly,
Solo, I had an issue with because I thought it was a kind of a poorly written script, but that's okay. I mean, the rest of it, I did enjoy some of it, but this one I thought had great, very simple, not a whole lot of trying to, make it so grandiose or anything, which was good. Like I said, the substance of it was a little light, but that was okay. That was okay to me. But the
yeah,
dialogue wasn't cringeable to me. And sometimes some of these Star
no,
Wars movies, it's cringeable. Sorry, it just
it
is.
can
Like
be,
those
it can
those
be.
first the after the first three and then the second three, that second movie, whatever, the one where Anakin and what's her face fall in
I
love.
don't
Oh
like
my God.
sand.
My
I don't like
God.
sand. Yeah, no,
So bad.
I agree with you, but
But
it appears like did you have Rotten Tomatoes up because I think even its critic response wasn't
no,
miserable either.
62%. So kind of a mix,
Okay,
Summer Mom was half and
yeah,
half, but yeah, 88% audience score walking out and liking it.
yes,
So yeah, I
it
mean,
people liked it, but then people just pounced on like how it did horrible and the grosses and such, and I don't know. I just think I wish it would all go away, it's not. Unfortunately, whether you're Star Wars, whatever,
I mean,
I think it hurts fandom.
trolls are now I mean, honestly, since the advent of social media and everything, trolls are now just, an unfortunate byproduct of what's happened to everything because
Yes, I agree.
they can sit behind their stupid little computer just typing all kinds of horrible
Hmm.
things and not ever really, have to make any consequences for what they write. And that's
No,
just how it is. And it's sad,
yeah,
but
it is, and they get the clicks, and then they influence people. Their hate, and
sometimes,
this is
yeah,
what
yeah,
bothers me. Sometimes their hate influences people to stay away from something that is genuinely pretty good. And I
yeah.
think
But I do
if you
feel
cut
that
out that noise, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was just
No,
gonna say,
you
I do
feel
feel that the Star Wars movie franchise has been damaged a little. It's just, I just I don't know if it's that they need to just completely revamp it, or people are tired of it. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's certainly not what it once was. And that again, when those first three movies came out, it was just nothing we'd really ever seen before in this entire world that was built, and it was just so fantastic. And And I thought some of these series that they did on Disney Plus, like The Mandalorian and well, I loved Andor as well, but they can take their time, and write some good scripts and stuff. So I don't know. I don't really don't know what the solution is. I mean, they can keep making movies and we'll keep seeing them. You and I will both definitely go see them, but I just feel like
Absolutely.
overall it's been damaged a little bit from just the low
I
attendance
guess,
from.
but then you're right. The flip side of that is, Star Wars Celebration is coming into town next year, and the tickets for that like sold out like in minutes. In
Yeah.
minutes. So like the fandom is still
Oh, the
there.
fandom's
I
still
just
there,
wish
100%. Yeah.
I wish the fandom
But they're
would
starting to
be
age out, like Star Trek.
maybe
Unfortunately, it's the
I don't
same
know if
thing with
they're
Star Trek. They're aging
but
out.
though Kit, as a person, like I go to a lot of conventions, including Star Trek, which I love, and I still think for the fans, many of them, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's more of an appreciation now a little bit more from the fans that attend. But when you go to a Star Wars celebration, right, a lot of it is, and I see a lot of families, which I love, right, but a
Hmm.
lot
Hmm.
of it is they have like how to handle a lightsaber. Like these fans are more concerned as to their lightsaber technique than they are to creativity technique and supporting what Star Wars gives them.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, okay, I get it to an extent, but you realize that lightsabers aren't real. So I don't care about your technique. I remember as a kid, like, I could get a stick and call it a lightsaber and do the zoom, zoom, zoom with my friends and stuff, but we still know it was a movie. We were just excited because Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, and then Luke Skywalker rising to fight his father, like that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
And I didn't care if I could twirl my lightsaber and how many lightsabers I can have. A lot of that has come when you go there, you see a lot of that. And, it's I wish you would focus more on the creativity. And a lot of
Yeah.
people feel that they own the IP, that the IP is made just for, that this
That's
is made
true
for
too. Yeah.
them and them only, right? And
Right.
it's like, well, you didn't do this. Well, yeah, no, you write it then. You write something.
Right.
One more thing that I want to talk about because I had a very fascinating conversation with some Star Wars fans. Where did I have this conversation? It was very impromptu. On my birthday, go to Disneyland. Was in Galaxy's Edge or Bat 2. Went to Uga's Cantina, which is modeled after a classic Star Wars cantina. Went there, was having some drinks, and a family came in. Many of them from Orlando, big Star Wars fans, and we started talking about Star Wars fandom and our favorites. And these people brought up something very interesting. This gentleman said, I got pissed at Star Wars. He goes, I grew up with it. And I watched the movies and I read the books. And there were a ton of novels that had come out after
Uh-huh.
the original trilogy.
Right.
A lot of them expanding the world and whatnot, going into Han and Leia's marriage. They had 2 kids, this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
When they started making the sequel, when they were making like, what was it, 8, 9, and 10 of the
Hmm.
movies, the story about Rey, uh, Lucasfilm at the time put together story editors, and what
Hmm.
they did was basically scrapped all that. They
Hmm.
retconned it all, and they said, "This is not canon. The 3 movies, what we're putting on Disney Plus, and these movies going forward, and everything after, that's canon." So
Yeah.
people who have spent a lifetime being good fans and spending their money to buy this product, they said that no longer counts. And the guy said that pissed me off because I'd spent so much time and some of it was actually good. I've read some of it. It was actually good. And I go, huh, I hadn't heard that perspective before. I found it
Hmm.
very unique. And I said, you have a great point. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Like how much time you got involved in Star Wars. And they said, nope, nope, no more. It doesn't exist. And I understand that displeasure that he had. So I don't know what happened with Star Wars. I still enjoy it. For me, part of it, like I think you, as part of it's nostalgia within me. It's a
Yes.
part of my fabric of movie going, much like the Disney movies, the live action
Right.
Disney movies are. Jaws, Star Trek, Star Wars. Part of my movie DNA growing up, and I will forever have it in my heart as to how I felt watching the original Star Wars on the big screen with my dad.
Yeah.
The
Of
memory will
course.
always be there for me.
Yep.
And so whether I like today's Star Wars, this, that, or the other, I can't compare it to that because that'll never happen again
No.
for me. So I have to take it as it is. But
Yep.
I did appreciate the Mandalorian and Grogu very much. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I would
good
give it a
action.
solid 4 stars for me.
Same, four stars easy,
Yep.
four stars,
Yep.
and it was a good time.
Yep.
Will we get
Well,
another
thanks.
movie? Because first, don't you think? Wouldn't you like to see where Grogu came from? Now that they
I'm
gave him
sure
an
they'll make
adventure,
another. I don't know. I'm sure they
do
will.
you
I
think
mean,
so?
yeah,
I
I
don't
know. They're
know. I
saying
hope
it's the
so.
box office wasn't great, but you know what? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
I love,
I really don't. I
yeah,
really don't.
I don't know either, but I wouldn't mind, like
Yeah.
personally, and I'd
Yeah.
go. Um, so I am a fan. We are a fan. I loved being able to talk about this with you
Yeah. It was great.
because it's very special.
And we've got
So,
some good ones coming up. I know we're a little bit
oh
behind here
God,
but I definitely want to see Backrooms because that looks pretty freaky and cool. And I'm looking, that actually
it
comes
does,
out this
and
weekend, so we'll be reviewing
yeah,
it. And then also Disclosure Day, that's the next biggie, and I've heard good things
Disclosure
already about
Day.
it. So
I also
yeah,
want to see Pressure, but
pressure,
you're
yeah.
right. Backrooms. God, Backrooms falls under the category of what we
Yep.
talked about, obsession, right?
Yep.
We got another young director, 20 years old, comes from YouTube. The movie looks like it's going to be a box office hit. And again, I think YouTube is an equivalent of our MTV back in the day. That
Yes.
we had some David Fincher comes from MTV, music videos, Michael Bay. A lot of
Yeah.
directors came from music videos. I think YouTube is the new MTV as
Yep.
far as farming out talented directors. The gentleman who did this, no exception. And
Yep.
already it seems to be doing well. Want to see it as well.
Yep.
Obsession was a YouTube guy. We
Yep.
love that.
Yep.
Had a great conversation about how horror is tearing down. It's able to take risks that
Yep.
other genres don't want to do. So
Absolutely.
looking forward to that
So
as well. And
we'll
looking
be
forward to
back,
talking.
guys, and remember to like and subscribe and let us know your comments on Star Wars, where you think it's going, if you liked this movie as well, all that kind of good stuff. And thanks, Dee. That was a lot of fun. Again,
It was
always.
a lot of fun. It's a pleasure talking these Star Wars movies, which has such nostalgia for the both of us. So I love
Yes. All
doing
right.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Take care,
Thanks. Hope you
everybody.
enjoyed our trip to memory lane. Bye.
Bye.